It's not necessarily about that. The winning's great, but the journeys are what makes it. Some people don't even have grass, let alone is it green.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of clubs that don't even have grass, and you think, okay, we spoke Manchester United. You want Manchester United to be considered the best team in the world, right? You do, and not everyone gets to have that dream.
Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is Off the Bar, brought to you by Green King Sport. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Joe Smith.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Nervous, excited.
You're amongst friends.
Here.
You don't need to be nervous. Don't worry.
Nervous.
We'll look after you.
Weekend, innit? Everything's on the line, man. Literally, about 3 or 4 people's jobs could be on the line for this game, and it worries me.
Name him.
Erik Ten Hag.
Yeah, I thought he was good.
I thought you'd start with the staff in here.
I don't think it necessarily would, but we'll get onto it a bit later. Marcus Rashford could really do with a good performance here, especially
he's not getting sacked, though, is he?
No, but it could be his United career in terms of whether he's going to get sold or not. Big games like this can
Bit dramatic.
Well, I'm saying could.
You're saying that Marcus Rashford, right, scored 30 goals last season. He's been at the club since he was a child.
Yes.
If he doesn't perform against the Scousers, he's gone.
No, you're saying
you want
that.
him gone if he doesn't score a hat-trick against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Comment Joe out.
Like,
I also think
I mean?
that there's a couple of centre-backs who are sort of, if this season is a disaster, they will leave Manchester United. I think Victor Lindelof could well leave. I think Harry Maguire could well leave.
It's all on me. If this season is a disaster, did he just fucking say that?
Yeah, all right. Well, if we get top 5, get Champions League football, and win the FA Cup, that isn't a disaster, is it? If we don't,
No.
then
There's
it
a reason
is.
I play the Euro Millions, Joe.
No, but I'm saying this is the game. There's so much on the line here because this is the only thing standing in the way of an absolute disaster.
I think, right, also, if you don't know, then where have you been? Well, that's Stephen Howson.
There he is.
There you go. Only Erik Ten Hag potentially could lose his job because of this game, I think.
I also think Mitchell van der Gaag and Steve McLaren.
There you go. There's 3.
Really?
So they need to find one more.
But you're going to keep them around. Whoever's
McLaren.
going to walk
Right.
in and go, I thought we sacked Erik Ten Hag, and he's like, actually, my name's Mitchell. Fuck up, get out.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like,
I don't know about players though. I don't know if players.
I'm not saying that this game in and of itself is the only thing. I'm saying if we have a disastrous season,
and
I think there are certain
losing
players,
this game that's it. It's over.
This game is the only thing standing in the way of a disastrous season for me. And if we have one, I think there are certain players' reputations who will be damaged enough that could be the difference.
Do you know what's mental? Is that we could fluff a win, because let's be honest, we're not going to steam out the gates and
No, we're not.
batter them with our sausage, are we?
No.
So what's going to happen? We might get a win,
Casemiro's another one.
and then we might lose.
If Casemiro drags us to another FA Cup like he dragged us to the Carabao last year with a goal in the final, his brilliant performances, that could give him another season at United.
Possibly.
we could lose to fucking anybody in the next round.
I know we could.
So it's not like, we beat Liverpool and we're on the trophy parade.
No, I didn't say that. I don't think that's the case. I'm just saying, if the season ends with a whimper, which it does if we lose on Sunday,
Yeah.
then I think there are a lot of people whose United careers will be in a very different position to if we go on to win this
So
competition.
you're saying the likes of Casemiro, Marcus, maybe those types of players that are big name players that have had some success, but they need more. They need to prove
they've all
I
already had.
don't think it hinges on 9 minutes.
They've all already
people's minds
had.
are made up over a longer period.
Well, I agree, but I'm not. This isn't happening over a longer period, is it? This game is a big point that ends a trophy run or not. I think that the rest of the building block, the rest of the building work, to the point I'm making, has already been done. That's the issue. There's already rumours of PSG wanting Rashford.
with the,
Casemiro to Saudi keeps getting
the
reported every
management
day.
thing.
Yeah, by Casemiro.
I agree with the management thing. I think you make a good point there. And I think that if we don't win the FA Cup, I think he's in trouble. Or FA Cup or Champions League football.
I don't think he's.
You've been on this a little while, haven't you? You seem to think he's going to be all right.
I almost. But they've not come out and explicitly defended him, and they've not come out and explicitly said they're backing
statement.
Yeah, they've just said nothing. It's weird. It's
It was like everything that Jim Ratcliffe said, right, in that interview, in those interviews he gave. If you want to argue one way or the other, you can do.
Yeah.
If you want to argue he's getting rid of Mason Greenwood, you can look at his quotes and say that. If you want to argue he's keeping him, you can look at his quotes and skew it to make that. If you want to argue he's backing Erik Ten Hag, you can look at his quotes and use them.
There's actually nothing definitive.
He's sort of sat on the fence with everything, but given an answer on everything, if that makes sense. So I think you can use that to sort of go.
There's a reason he's a billionaire.
I know.
He's a bit crafty.
He's not daft, is he? Do you know what I mean? He's not put himself in a corner like we always do on every single podcast. So
have you got an opinion? Yeah, I have.
Yeah, this is what I think about him. No, I might change my mind actually. He's actually all right. So yeah, I don't know. For me, maybe it's just a goal. I don't know. I'm not ICK in the slightest. I feel like if Erik Ten Hag wants to keep his job, he has to get either the FA Cup or get us into the Champions League. I think he might struggle with finish sixth.
I think he could have a job regardless.
Really? I hope you're right, I do, because I want to see Erik Ten Hag being given a chance. I do. I want to see him being given
his contract is till next summer, right?
Yeah.
With an option of a +1 for us.
So you think they just let him do his contract?
Save us a few million quid, if nothing else.
Possibly. I just think that there's so much upheaval at the football club that I can't envisage. There isn't an outstanding candidate where you go, oh my God, if we got him.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
And if you lined up everything Erik Ten Hag was prior to him coming, he ticks all of the boxes I would expect them to be looking to fill. So you go, well, he's here. He's already signed a couple of players. A couple of them have been all right. A couple have been unmitigated shit shows. But a couple of the players have been right. If Ineos come in and say, we apportion some of the blame to the prior regime and recruitment, and we think if he had the right team, this guy will do the business, then there's no harm in allowing him to see his contract.
I think from an Ineos' PR perspective as well, it might be worth them giving him longer, because if they get rid of him, it's basically everything at the club has now been done by them. They've got nowhere to go. If next season's a shit show with a new manager, they have to take all that. Whereas if you change everything above him and Ten Hag is still here next season and we're 7th at this time, you go, well, of course it's not because of the people we brought in, it's because of the manager. That gives them, that allows them to then sack the manager and let the people who they've already brought in to bed in a little bit without playing all their chips at once.
Maybe identifying a manager, because you've got to think, like, whether we really believe Barada's on gardening leave, or whether Dan Ashworth's going to go on gardening leave, or if they might have access to a mobile phone, like, whether you believe that or not, they're technically not in work. And asking them to be like, right, so now this is your job. Now you need to go and do all the research and everything that you've got to do within the club and find out what's going on with that department, this department, that department, this department. Oh, and while you're doing all that, stick a broom up your ass and find us a new manager. Like, or you allow them to, like Joe said, bed in, find out exactly what's needed, identify a couple of targets and interview them at leisure, and then select the right one as Erik Ten Hag has seen his contract out. And then he doesn't have to get fired. If that's the decision might be, no, actually, this guy can do it.
Yeah. Do you see any scenario, either of you, in which Erik Ten Hag, who signed for the club under one sort of deal, and he was given this freedom and all these deals that he can make and all the rest of it, and now that's slightly changed with this new regime, if the results go against him, if he feels he's lost the dressing room, if he's sort of his authority is changed in the club, do you see any scenario where he walks away?
It never happens, does it? It's so, I mean, it does, but it so rarely happens. I don't see it, because he knows if he walks away from United, first of all, no one believes he walks away. Everyone thinks, well, the power stripped from you, or they told you you're going. No one really thinks that. So he knows his next job after this is Ajax at best. Do you know what I mean? He needs to be relatively successful for himself, as well as for Man United. I also think that I hope it's not the case that Ineos are only judging him based on either league position or have you won a cup, because those metrics are easy metrics that could be put in place by non-footballing people. That it's just a binary, did you do this, yes, no. If you did, you're safe. If you didn't, you're gone. I hope that the new people can look at him, look at his philosophy, have a chat with him, see what he's like as a manager, and see if the players are adopting that style, and if there's reasons for the fact that they're not. And actually say, regardless of results, we think he's the right guy. Or, regardless of what you win, we think you're the wrong guy. Because I don't want... Ed Woodward could say, if you finish top 4, you're safe. If you're not, you're not.
Well, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily...
that was pretty much the extent of his football knowledge.
Because as we saw with Klopp at Liverpool last season and 2 seasons ago, whatever it was, you can have bad seasons. You can finish outside the top 4 and not make Champions League. It doesn't mean you're a shit manager that you should be sacked. This binary yes-no is such a I don't know anything about football way to deal with it. Look at the situation as a whole and have a bit more nuance.
Yeah, that's it. That is it in a nutshell. Do you agree? Do you think there's no scenario where he just walks and goes, look, this isn't...
No, because you got to think as well, if you are him, and like they had a 4 to 5 hour long conversation, that to me gives at least the impression that you're thinking about him taking it forward. Because if you're not, it's a 38-second conversation.
It's a handshake, like a limp handshake like that, and a see you next year.
It's who was it? Ralph Ragnick and Erik Ten Hag conversation.
Yeah, what was that?
20 minutes,
25 minutes over the phone.
A handover of the biggest club in the world.
Yeah,
took less than half an hour on the phone.
Yeah, so a 4 or 5 hour conversation. You've got to think that they've at least got to know him. Now, whether they give him assurances or not, I'd hope that would be his first question. Are you thinking about changing me, or have I got a bit of time to work here? I would think that if that's me, I'm asking that straight away.
One reason I kind of get what you're saying and think you might have a point, the whole January thing seemed weird. That they're almost willing to go, look, we're in this crisis almost. We've got so many injuries. We need a left back. We haven't got one. We need players, whatever. But we ain't doing nothing in January. It's tough. And he was kind of at least publicly all right with it. Maybe there's something there where they've gone, look, get through this season. Next season,
we don't want to buy any players on the old people's recommendations.
Oh, as a manager, you'll be like, all right then, I can live with that.
Yeah. Also, Ten Hag has come out and spoken about the big picture, and that sort of stuff leads me to think that subconsciously he thinks there's a big picture, and maybe he isn't thinking like, he isn't acting like a man that has to achieve X this year to stick around. You know, and I think if you try and take emotion out, which is very difficult to do, because I kind of like him and I want him to be successful, and I'm not thinking change him. So it's hard to be like completely emotional about it and analyse it coldly, because I'm too close to the fucking subject. But if you try and do that, you look at the factors that are at play. His 12-month deal remaining, that's quite convenient for a new regime coming in. It's almost perfect for a new regime coming in. They're like, wait, so we wouldn't have to sack him. He would just leave in the summer.
We basically get a little aftershave test sample that runs out, and then we can decide if we want the full thing.
And we've seen him be successful, and we've seen him be dog shit. So we will judge him by what he's like with a little bit of a better structure. Now, I wouldn't expect it to just be boosh, perfect, come like the first game of the season next year, but they're going to want to see things, and maybe that's why we're seeing a bit of a truncated pre-season. Maybe they had a conversation where he went, last season's pre-season fucking killed us, and he went, okay, we'll make it a bit easier for you. But there'll be everything he asks for increases the desire and the wants on the other side, I think.
Yeah. Just going back to your point then, Joe, you spoke about some players under the spotlight, like they need this game. They need, this is the last chance saloon to win a trophy. Who would you put in that category that you need to see something from? You personally, you need to see something from them, and if you don't, I'm not saying you're done with them, you'll always get behind the team, but you feel like there's no coming back from them.
It's not, I'm not saying that I would get rid of any of these players.
I know,
a lot of them I explicitly think we shouldn't, and I'll mention them. What I'm saying is we are seeing a mood change around certain players that I've seen in the past lead to players being sold, lead to players being dropped, lead to players being out of their national teams, and all of a sudden you get a snowball that often can't be undone. So we saw it with Harry Maguire, who funnily enough is one of the very few players I've ever seen even slightly overcome it. I know he's not considered a top centre-back in the league, but he's back in the squad. The jeering, the laughing, the mocking has gone away a little bit. He won a Player of the Month. Things sort of turn around a bit. Casemiro is one that last season was a hero to everyone, and now a lot of United fans think it's probably best if he moves on. He's on a bit too much money, he's a bit too old, the performances aren't what they were. That's one guy. Marcus Rashford, unfortunately, for me, is one of the most likeable players in the squad, one of the players I like the most, who's given me some of the best memories in the last 5 or 6 years. There's an obvious suitor in PSG who need to replace Mbappe. I think Rashford, on his day, in terms of style, is one of the more similar players to Mbappe in Europe, and you know he can get 30 goals in a Premier League team. What can he do in a French league team? I think that he's someone that, again, the fans aren't as on his side as they have been.
No.
And especially when you factor the Belfast stuff in with the form stuff, not now have you got an underperforming player, you've got an under-effort player. And that is something that combination isn't abided by a lot of fans. So I want him to turn it back around, but I do feel like this season is going to be definitive for him. I think other players as well, obviously Maguire I've already mentioned, I think Varane's another one, where his injury record, plus the fact that of his age, plus the fact of his wages, he's almost in that Casemiro bracket. There's a handful of them, and you could go into more. I think Anthony's sort of beyond all that, but there are certain players that the rest of the season could be quite big for him. Like if Casemiro guides us to the FA Cup, pushes us to 5th, and the coefficient works out that we get Champions League football next season, there might be a very good argument where you go, he's worth this, we need to keep him. Rashford could show these signs of the player we know and love, and all of a sudden the fans go, actually, fuck, what are we on about? What are we thinking? We've got to have this guy, he can be the face of the rebuild. But if it doesn't, and it wilts away and we see something else, that could be the end, and I don't want that to be the case, but I do think these are very crucial moments and months for a real handful of United players.
I think there's actually, you mentioned there briefly, Anthony, And like everyone's just assuming he's done or whatever. But if the manager's got another year, there's no reason why no one's coming in for Andy, because we hear that no one wants him for a multitude of reasons. A good performance and a goal or whatever against the Scousers could do him the world of good. It could make some people go, okay, maybe there's a player here. I'm not saying it's going to happen, or even that anyone around his table will be one of those people, but it might do, because the manager obviously rated him enough to buy him. So maybe there's an option for some people who need that little lifeline. He could give it. Maybe if Amad Diallo comes on or something and does something, you go, okay, there is a player there. We know that. Like, let's give him more of a chance. So yeah, I get your point about it being such a seminal game, because this does feel like a proper big one. Like, games against Liverpool always are, from a fan point of view. It's the biggest game of the season. But a quarter final in an FA Cup competition, where where it's your only chance of silverware, it kind of adds to it. As always, this episode of Off the Bar is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game.
And now we're getting toward the business end of the season as well, Jay. Every single televised United fixture is on at your local Green King Sport pub. And with over 900 venues across the country, you're never far away from a single minute of the action.
Football is best enjoyed with your mates. So if you're not at the game this weekend, pop a message into the group chat, get your mates together and head over to your local Green King Sport venue to watch all the action.
And don't forget to download the Green King Sport app, which is in the description, to get all sorts of extra competitions and discounts whenever there is a game on. Now back to the show.
Going into this day, this feels a little bit like the trip to Anfield in many ways. No one's almost given us a chance. Even United fans are going, oh, Jesus, this could be horrible. The Scousers, yet again, are up for this quadruple thing that they seem to go on about every year but never win. How do you feel like, confidence-wise? I know the sort of the logic says we have got a chance.
I don't think we're going to win this. No. I'm still going now.
I'm with you on that. I agree with everything you just said.
I mean, I don't think we're going to win at all. I'm just going to go and have a couple of pints with my dad.
St. Patrick's Day as well.
Yeah.
So international booze.
Maybe I'll have a Guinness instead. Yeah. And maybe I will. I'll just go and have a couple of Guinness.
The way things are going, bro, I might be joining you.
Is that cream on the top?
Yeah.
It's a pint of Carling with black food pouring in.
It has to happen sooner or later.
I don't think we're going to win, but ultimately, like, I saw a great video from Andy Mitten that had resurfaced from in the Ollie time at the weekend, and he said there's this desire from a lot of fans to just sort of attach themselves to winning and winning and winning and winning and winning, and it's not necessarily about that. The winning's great, but the journeys are what makes it. Like, I was listening to Anton Ferdinand in the week talking about how David Moyes should be allowed to leave West Ham on his own terms, because he's one of only, I think he might have said 4 managers that's actually won a trophy for West Ham. And you go, some people don't even have grass, let alone is it green. Like, there's a lot of clubs that don't even have fucking grass, and you think, okay, we spoke Manchester United, you want Manchester United to be considered the best team in the world, right? You do. And not everyone gets to have that dream. Barnsley fans just want to be considered like top dog in Yorkshire, probably be fucking well happy with that if they were beating the likes of fucking Leeds and Hull and all that lot. Probably be, I don't know any Barnsley people, I'm just throwing them out there. But I don't think Barnsley sit there thinking it should be Barnsley, Real Madrid. Like, I don't think anyone's thinking that, but United fans genuinely do. Yeah. And there's not a lot of people that can have that thought. Certainly, even fewer in England can have that thought. You might, maybe Juventus, Bayern Munich, a couple of teams around the world that might want to even put themselves in that, but United are one of them. And we should strive to win, but it isn't always. We've won 20 titles in 146 years or whatever it is we've been going. Like, you don't win every season, and that's what makes winning good. And I just thought it was a great fucking point that I saw from Andy, and that just because you feel like sometimes we're not the top dog or we're not confident going into this game, we still go. We're still here. We was indoctrinated as children. We're fucked. Like, we ain't going anywhere else. This is us, and we always want to see us win. I imagine how great it would be if you never actually saw United lose. But that's why that's why winning is so good.
Yeah.
Because you have to, like, go through some shit. I mean, I was spoiled. You're a touch older than me. You're a bit younger. From 1990, when I had my first game United with the FA Cup winners, when the FA Cup actually meant something. The next year we won the greatest trophy in the history of association football. We followed that up with the League Cup, which was a big deal in 1992, I felt.
Yeah. The League Cup had a bit more about it then, back in those days. You played your strongest team in it, you wanted to win it, it was a big thing.
That did change over the course of the 90s, but 92 was a big deal. 93 we win the league, 94 we win a double, 95 we miss out on the last day of the season, 96 we win a double, 97 we win the league, 98 we miss out on it narrowly to Arsenal, 99.
That's what you make a point of, because the double in 96 felt so good because of what happened in 95. The treble felt so good, not just because it was seminal and it was historic, but because of what happened in 98. Arsenal did the double.
Yeah.
Everyone thought, this is it now. Fergie's done. Wenger's the new kid on the block. And
he wears glasses, look at him.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He speaks 2 languages or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like it was going to be... So those you're mentioning...
That contrast
that's why.
You know, if someone turns the light on in the middle of the night, you do that. When the light's on in the day,
we
you get
threw
used
the
to
league
it.
in 92.
Yeah.
You know, it was in our fucking hands, and then we had like 4 games.
Games in like a week. If you look at those fixtures at the end of that season, it doesn't make any sense.
I think we played Saturday, Monday, fucking Wednesday.
It was ridiculous.
Like Thursday, Sunday, something fucking insane.
No, it is. It's insane. That run in the end of 92 season, and we won out. It's horrible.
I think we drew 2, lost 2, something like that, and that was it. League gone. Yeah. And you think getting that close that season is what drives you the next season. And we start the next season. It starts off all right. Doesn't start off great, but it's all right. We're not quite scoring goals. Dion Dublin breaks his leg. We go sign Cantona, and then. It's about you don't just turn up. Imagine going through the whole 99 season and just rocking up in the 91st minute. You haven't lived it. You haven't been through the ringer with it. Being a fan's about going through those harsh times. Them City fans that have been to Gillingham and was at the Mansfield game when there was only 3,000 of you there, both of you lot deserve some of the success that you're having.
Yeah.
The ones that have jumped on, because whether they like it or not, they have. All big clubs get this. United had this. All big clubs get those fucking fair weather crew that jump on. That, 5 years ago supported Chelsea. The pricks that just fucking hop around. And that's not necessarily a location thing as well, because people will try and spin that into... Steve says don't like fans from abroad. Never said that. If you've just had one club, I don't give a fuck if you're from fucking Weast or fucking Wisconsin, right? It matters not, as long as you just have one club. You can be from fucking Salford, yeah? But have supported 5 different fucking teams. Yeah. It happens, right? Yeah. We all know people that just fucking flit around like, oh yeah, I've always supported Chelsea. As long as you've been that one, because that's... It's a madness, football loyalty, because there's no logic to it at all. You almost should be picking your fucking team out of a fucking hat at the start of the season. You don't know them guys.
No.
Like,
I don't get how you can get that emotional attachment if you've not always been a fan of that club, or that fan of that team.
But also, like you said,
I don't get it.
The people in the team you support change all the time. It's not like a family member who I don't like. Oh, my mum's shit, I'm going to buy a new one in the summer. Like, it's the same mum, it's the same dad. And football's the only thing that's even close to that in terms of emotion. And yet, all the people change.
You could be a...
And not only that, fan. They don't know you.
No.
It's only a one-way thing, this, as well. People might have, famous fans of people, but United don't know me. It's a one-way adoration for people who are constantly changing. And yet, like you said, you cannot help it and you cannot change it.
You can't pass down the fact that you liked GSP as a UFC fighter down to your kids, because he's retired.
Yeah.
So you don't get to share that multi-generationally like you do with a football team. This team isn't my granddad's team. No. It's my son's team.
Yeah.
This isn't my team. And the Babes weren't my team, but they are my team because they're part of the lineage that I'm in. Yeah. It's like...
It is mad, isn't it?
There's been 500 players from Manchester United, all in different fucking eras, but they're all part of the same family tree in a way. Like, you can't... I guess all sports teams, you get to pass down... We're United fans, and that's what we are, and that gets multi-generationally passed down. And like you can't be like, yeah, all my family support Conor McGregor since my granddad was a boy.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes no fucking sense, doesn't it? We all Diane Modal, master fans,
Yeah.
all of us. And you're just like,
there's
what?
a reference you don't expect to hear. There's a proper Mancunian for you. Hey, pulling out Diamond.
All right, Darren Campbell then, fine. Right.
That's it. You get a round of applause for me for that one, son. No, it is. It's true. It's what makes it great. And it's like you say, you know, I pass it on to my kids, and I was panicking. That's that big fear. One of the biggest fears I've had is my kid's gonna like be, oh, Dad, not really United.
Yeah. But Haaland's good, isn't he, Dad?
Yeah, but you've gone the other way. You've gone completely bitter, bitter Reds, to the point where my son says Haaland's just a tapping merchant. He's shit. Well, he doesn't say shit. He says rubbish. I said, yeah, you're right, son. He is.
Say he's shit. Don't say he's rubbish.
Yeah,
Come on, have a bit of bollocks, lad.
Say he's fucking shit and he cheats.
What chance do we, or not what chance, because you've sort of said that we can. How do you think we beat Liverpool? How do we do it? But it's obviously possible.
Do
you think penalty shootout
or for the fucking best?
Do you think?
Yeah,
What else have we got, Joe?
What did you say?
Play on the back foot and hope for the best.
I do think we've got to swallow our pride a little bit, because I speak to a lot of United fans who are like, get out into him from the first minute, and no doubt there'll be an element of me shouting that from the terraces on Sunday afternoon. But in reality, I don't see us going at them gung ho and winning.
Just hope that the fact that they have been playing a bit of a rotated side, that they've ridden out their luck. You know, you can young players. If you went through the history of young debutants at United, they were all world class for 3 or 4 games. Like if we had fan cams in 2009, people have been selling, who the fuck is Cristiano Ronaldo? Federico Makeda is the fucking name you want to be talking about.
Darren Gibson's
honestly,
get Paul's goals out.
You know, when like people,
James Wilson's debut, fucking
Alexander Butner.
Everyone's debut, they look incredible.
Terry Cook.
We've got another
Terry
one.
Cook looked like the future Manchester United Football Club in 1995.
Januzaj and Sunderland.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh mate, that brace. Come on.
Oh my.
He won his debut, but look at like Twanzebe versus Mbappe. Incredible. Like, but you know,
the longer you roll the dice, the less you get your sixes, and you just.
There was a time when Cameron Borthwick Jackson looked like one of the best crosses of the ball ever.
Stand by that. And you can clip me up. I don't give a fuck. I said what I said.
I thought Rodrigo.
I said what I said.
When I saw Possebon play, I thought, who's this lad?
Hey, you're not the only one. Every fucker in Old Trafford that night was all in love with.
Who was it against?
Middlesbrough.
Yeah,
and it was Pogatetz that broke his leg. Thanks for asking.
No, he didn't break his leg that day though.
I think he did.
No, he had a game where he played where he didn't break his leg that I was at.
All right, okay.
Right.
And I thought,
all right, well, Pogatetz, Middlesbrough. Pretty sure it's Pogatetz broke his leg, wasn't it?
I think it was. That rings a bell, a vague bell. I remember Possebon looked the business though, didn't it? There's a few like that. Do you know what I mean? Like Will Keane was never the same after he had that injury. Yeah. Like there's 1 or 2 players who Ben Thornley was the pick of the bunch of the class of '92 at one point. He looked like the guy who was going to make it the quickest, other than Giggsy. And then Nicky Marker at Blackburn broke his leg.
I think the true mark of youngsters is 20 games in. Are you still doing what got you to the dance? And are you still looking as impressive as you did on your debut? Because if you had to put a pin in it and make predictions based on what's this lad's career going to look like now, when you see the debut, Jesus Christ, like
impossible.
The ones that actually hit what they show, it might be 2%. It might not even be 1%.
Well, look, Macca was messaging me with that. I think he bumped in at Paddy McNair, or he knew someone at Paddy McNair's mates.
Paddy McNair, Donald Love days.
Yeah, do you remember that? Well, Paddy McNair threw straight in.
They were playing great under Louis.
Yeah, it was like Tyler Blackett looked like the player we all thought he was going to be under Louis.
May or may not be getting clips up to talking about Tyler Blackett.
You won't be on your own on that front, bro.
Mensa was another one.
Yeah, it's like, I remember me and you doing a preview for the season and was saying about, you were saying how you can't play Pogba and Fosu Mensah together, it's not fair on the opposition.
And Angel Gomez.
And I agreed with you. I was like, you're right.
Well, Fosu Mensah against Spurs, 0-0 when he goes off, lost 3-0, right?
Yeah.
The last game at White Hart Lane?
I think it was.
Right? Like,
was it Fosu Mensah who gave away the penalty at Wembley and then Louis van Gaal fell out of him and just never played him
that
again?
sounds like a thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like, you've just done my head in, you're never playing for me again. And he kind of stuck to it. But you know, Fosu Mensah, there's loads of them in there. Like,
so you do generally see youngsters, because they're not shit, right? Youngsters that have worked so hard to get that opportunity in a Premier League first team. They've been the best kid on their street, their junior team, their academy
100%.
for years and years and years and years. To get the opportunity to train with the first team, to get put on the bench, to get given a game, to get another game, to get a start. They're incredible footballers and probably incredible athletes for the most part as well. So them lot having 7 and 8 and 9s out of 10s for them for 3 or 4 weeks, riding that adrenaline, that good vibe, that no one's criticised me yet, everyone's been so fucking nice, and then the inevitable happens where you make a mistake. Now, have you got the character, the bottle, the backbone to be able to go, okay, and carry on? Because that's what the Rooneys, the Ronaldos, and the real the real greats like Welbeck. That's what them guys
well
do.
Said.
Yeah.
Or does that crush you? Or does that start bringing doubt into your game? Does that mean now we actually see way more of these mistakes that start getting exposed? Because that's what happened with the likes of Makeda and this, that, and the other. They rode the wave of his debut for a few weeks. He actually scored a few goals. And then the inevitable, this is actually his true level, starts to show. So do we hit Liverpool at the right time when fucking Quansah, is Quansah going to be a first-team player, or is he going to be Port Vale first-team player? Right now, I don't think anyone knows the answer to that.
No, it's a good point. I know I've said this to you before. If you ever get a chance to look at that Gus Caesar bit in Nick Hornby's Fever Pitch, he speaks about that. Gus Caesar was a player who played for Arsenal, and he made a howler in the League Cup final that cost him the League Cup final. And he came through the ranks, and he just, it's a really good bit where he goes, if you get into the Arsenal first team, or you get into any top club first team, you're the best, like you say, you're the best player in your school, in your town, in your county. You're unbelievable. And yet some players, they get to that thing, and in the case of Gus Caesar, the wheels come off, and then he ended up in like the Scottish second tier or whatever. So no, it's a really good point.
They've all got, not all of them have got the same top level, but most professional footballers at that level can put in a performance where you go, wow. Well, the skin in a centre back, they knock it past him and smack it into the back post.
Debuts as well. Yeah. They're told, go and express yourself.
But the consistency is the thing that sets the top players apart from the rest. So if you can do that one-off, you're most likely to do that when like I said, the adrenaline's high. You're nervous because you've never done this before. Once a little bit of, you haven't made any mistakes, so you've got no self-doubt.
And everyone in the stadium wants you.
He's desperate.
Everyone wants you.
But 20 games in or 10 games in, when people go, I'm not sure about this guy, and you turn up late for training because you missed something, because you weren't quite as keen as you were 6 weeks ago. All those things start to stack up, and then when the consistency drops, hopefully that's when we're playing Liverpool.
Yeah, hopefully that's what we get this weekend.
Yeah, just hitting him on that little dip of the reality.
There's a couple in the team.
Because the thing is, and this isn't even like an anti-Liverpool thing, the odds of all of these young lads who have come through and played in that Carabao Cup final and the game afterwards as well, of them all being first teamers for Liverpool in 2 years' time is 0. So some of them aren't good enough.
It's mad because
all of them might not be. But United need to capitalise on that.
The class of '92 is an example. Well, United did it. No, that's wrong. United didn't put all those players into the team at the same time. It's the biggest myth, and you spoke about it countless times, and you spot on. Giggs was playing in that team for about 3 years.
Off the bench a lot.
Off the bench a lot. He was sort of brought in. Nicky Butt was getting games in Europe because of the 3 foreigner rule. Ditto Scholes. Beckham had gone out on loan to, I think it was Preston North End.
You talk about the likes of Gary Neville. Well, who was United's first choice fullbacks? Oh, Paul Parker and Dennis Irwin.
Yeah.
Right. So when was Gary Neville playing?
Yeah, exactly.
When Fergie wanted him to.
Exactly. It wasn't like Fergie just went at the beginning of the 95, 96 season, you're all in. And also, they'd all been sort of had various times.
I'd say Phil Neville played a lot more.
Yeah, no, you're right. So
that's also a once in a lifetime set of players.
Yeah, it's people
that's like going, we'll just do a Leicester.
Yeah.
But you can't. That's happened now.
Why didn't we think about winning the league?
Yeah, we should have done that. We should have not spent any money on winning the league. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Why aren't Brentford won the league this season? Leicester did it in the second.
Yeah, it's like it's a rainbow flavoured unicorn. It's just it's never happening. I want to talk about a couple of stories that are doing the rounds.
What's a rainbow flavour?
It just says bit of everything. Really.
Also, why are you eating unicorns?
What?
That's got to be bad luck, that.
What, eating unicorns?
Yeah. Rainbow flavoured unicorn. Eating a unicorn has to be... If walking under a ladder is 7 years...
Right.
Fuck me.
Well, isn't it good luck? So if you get to a rainbow, don't you get a pot of gold? So if you get a rainbow flavoured unicorn, wouldn't you get good luck or something?
Do you know rainbows are circular?
Are there?
Yeah, it's only our perspective which makes them look like they're beyond the horizon.
Are you sure? Because there's a rainbow near me that goes from... I think it's from Cliftonville to Cadizad.
What?
The rainbow outside my house. If I look out the window,
I can see it. Is this the name of a Chinese restaurant?
No, I can see it goes from right down that end, which is Cadizad, and then that end. I think it's.
Sorry. When you say there's a rainbow near me, it's moved into the estate.
It pops up now and again, like when it's raining and sunny and that. So
and it's always in the same place.
Yeah. Have a look out my back window. I can see this the same rainbow. Why? Why aren't you
the same rainbow?
Yeah.
Like it's a fly that's gone into the house.
Why are you looking at me like that?
What do you mean the same rainbow?
It just pops up when it's raining.
A rainbow doesn't.
It's not a fucking Eddie Stobart van, Jay.
It's not in storage until it's needed by God. It is a visual representation.
Well, it's got an imposter then that keeps popping up in a similar position. Yeah.
Same rainbow.
But I think that rainbow is the same one. I think you're wrong.
Hitting the sun at the right angle. Yeah. There's a certain amount of moisture in the air in that location.
All right.
Is it near the canal?
Yeah, not far.
Is it the same rainbow, same order and everything?
Aren't they
They are
Richard of York gave battle in vain and all that.
I think they are always in the same.
Yeah, well, there you go.
The way light
the
spectrum is separated, which doesn't just get mixed up because it felt a bit purple and blue
looks
today.
in the same order. I don't know. I'm not. I'll check next time. I'll ask it. A couple of news stories to get through.
Are we moving off the rainbows?
Maybe that's the one that I see outside my house.
I'll take a photo. Right, I'm going to take different photos on different days of this rainbow, and you tell me it ain't the same rainbow.
I actually saw one once. I was in Otterburn.
Honestly,
we was doing some live fire stuff in Otterburn, and it was a rainbow, and it looked like it was about 20 metres in front of me. So I fucking sprinted.
Get that pot of gold.
Yeah. And obviously, as you get closer, it just moves.
Did it have a Salford accent? Because it could have been Jay's rainbow.
Oh yeah, it might have been on holiday. Where were you?
Otterburn, which is like, I think it's in England, but it's definitely Scotland.
All right, okay. It might have been having a little day trip. Well, listen, I'll produce the evidence. Yeah, watch this space.
Yeah. Sort it.
Anyway,
invite it on the show and ask it.
You what? Now you're just being silly, Stephen. Marcus Rashford. I know what the answer's going to be, but let's talk about it briefly before we move on. Yeah. He's been linked with a move to PSG, and I will get to Jadon Sancho in a minute. Marcus Rashford been linked with PSG, 75 million quid. A, will it happen? B, do you want it to happen? In that order, if that makes sense.
I think it could happen. Yeah. More so than I've thought he would leave ever before. I absolutely don't want it to happen.
Why don't you want it to happen? Because it seems like not everyone, but a lot of United fans are like, yeah, let's take the money and run and sell him.
He's been one of the few bright sparks in the club in the last 8 years or however long he's been there. Yeah. And there's, sometimes that spark hasn't been as bright as others. But, other than Bruno Fernandes, no one has shone brighter at any point, really, than Rashford has at certain times. In terms of the excitement, having an academy player, the history of United, the sort of things we strive for and want as United fans, he encapsulates almost all of them at his best. And I think this idea of, if you're not scoring 30 goals every season like Salah or Kane or Ronaldo or, whatever, then you're shit, is such a sort of modern football thing. I think we have to accept that maybe he's not quite at the level of some of those players I've just mentioned, but that doesn't mean he's not good enough for us.
No.
Or that he's not good enough to win a title. How many titles Nani and Anderson and players like that won, and even players who started every week? Berbatov didn't get you 30 goals every season. Rooney didn't get you 30 goals every season. They didn't have, maybe quite the same dips as Rashford, but I just think that this idea that a player has to be world class every year or they're crap is just nonsense.
Do you know what? You make a good point, because I think whoever wins the title this season is going to have a player in their squad that's played a lot of games that I would say is not as good as Marcus Rashford.
Yeah,
genuinely. I'm not saying Mo Salah. I'm not talking about Mo Salah
as good as Rashford, who starts every week for him.
Yeah, or Kevin De Bruyne or whatever. I mean, there is players that play.
I think
City.
Martinelli.
Yeah, exactly. He could end up with the winners' medal. Is he better than Mark? I don't
Jack
think
Grealish isn't as good as Marcus Rashford.
Look at his numbers; they don't compare. And I think there's. I mean, I don't know who's even getting in a game for Liverpool. Made Cody Gakpo, whoever.
Diaz.
Like one of the. Oh, sorry, you said it, Diaz. Yeah. So there is an argument there that just because you are not world class elite, you're not good enough for United. It's flawed. What do you reckon? I know your thoughts.
I think it could go first of all.
Yeah,
I think it could happen.
More pressing. Does this feel differently this time around than when we've had these rumours in before? Or do you think it's just ongoing, always there?
Maybe because I can taste the mood of the fan base. And I think there are reasons for it, which Marcus has to firstly acknowledge, secondly deal with, and maybe thirdly try to fix.
When you say acknowledge, do you mean publicly or do you mean within himself?
Certainly within himself. You can't not acknowledge it. Whether he has to do that publicly, I don't know, because Belfast is obviously going to be an issue. And the fact it was so public, and a lot of fans are onto him because of that. Now, whether or not he's like, manager's not even asked, and I'm back in the team, and I've apologised. Cool. The fans are going to take longer to accept him. Then he come out and do the interview. Some people are asked about what a millionaire decides to wear. Guy's a fucking millionaire. Guess what? Some of the shit you lot wear's worse, comparatively. And then you've got some of the content of that interview. I don't think was
the Players Tribune interview. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think was beneficial or needed. I think needed is the overall. I don't think this is needed, because you know what? Talk is cheap. show me, don't tell me. I think is all I would be thinking if I was working with him, if I was somebody involved at the club, I'd just be like, I don't care what you want to say. Out there's where you show me. Show me in it. Be undeniable in training. Be the first in, last out. That costs nothing, does it? If you just come and said, this is how dedicated I am to Manchester United. Okay, here's the keys. You lock up.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll see you in here before me tomorrow then, right? That's what I expect. That's what I expect out of a professional. I think if you could sit him down and say, right, okay, so role play, mate. You're Marcus, right? Are you playing well at the moment?
Not particularly.
Right, and if I ask you why, you might just, I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you first in at training?
Well, no, not usually. I sort of come in
Could we do that?
Everyone else. Yeah.
Could you be the last out?
Well, yeah. I suppose. If I got anything better to do.
Could we start there?
Yeah.
Could we start with, I want everyone at Carrington to be leaking, not deliberately, but like, things get out, don't they? Like, I'll tell you what, Marcus, his attitude has changed. He isn't going out. He got sore in Menagerie or China White or wherever. Now I ain't seen him in there for months. And what is he doing? He's got fucking Rocky 4 on and he's fucking giving it some at Carrington all day, every day.
Yeah.
He's just got the fucking Hearts on Fire on full blast, doing deadlifts.
Yeah, brilliant.
If those were the leaks, not that we know what he's fucking ordering.
I felt like that interview with Players Tribune, I felt like he was making an argument that not everyone was making. He was sort of going from an angle of, I want to be at United, or I could have gone away, I could have gone to other clubs, but I stayed here. And I think the criticism of him is his effort in terms of his performances, and he didn't really address that in that interview. I don't think it really got to the heart of that.
I think there's a few things that were massively blown out of proportion, like him not pressing Ross Barkley. He had a really good game in that game, and he was very energetic in that game, and he was a constant threat in that game. Him not pressing Ross Barkley in injury time wasn't an issue in that game. I also think it's his man. I think he's just kind of near him.
Yeah.
Why would a winger be pressing a midfielder? Makes no fucking sense. People don't think about that. They just retweet it.
Yeah.
So I would say I don't think the interview was needed. And I think if I'm Erik ten Hag or I'm somebody involved with Steve McLaren, I can imagine that's a great assistant manager job, is to get people's heads right and stuff. I say just be the first in, last out. Just what are we working on at your game, mate? Are we perfect with our finishing? No. Could we work on our finishing? Could we maybe get a bit of left foot finishing going on? Because too often we maybe rely on the right foot a little bit. Could we maybe work on?
Well, that's what Benny McCarthy's there for, isn't it, apparently?
Well, he's getting loads of credit last season when
Rashford was playing. That would not be up his street. I get your point.
Well, yeah, but anybody.
Yeah,
all of the facilities available within Carrington.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people telling him to go home. That's what I want to hear about. I want people to say, you need to fucking relax. Because I guarantee if you was putting in the hours, we'd see it Saturday afternoons. And you'd play like you're putting in the effort, because no one puts in the work during the week and then half-asses it on showtime. I think the two are holding hands. I think the effort that you display over a weekend is directly correlated to the effort that you put in during the week. Now, there's always outliers. Rio will tell you that. Carlos Tevez did not give a Frenchman's fuck in training, but he put it out on a Saturday. But maybe that's the difference. You put it out on a Saturday. Everything comes off that. At 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you've got to go and deliver. That is why you're paid. I'm sure the rumours that it's 300k a week are wrong, right? Because they always seem to be. Whatever it is, it's more than I'm on, and it's more than every single person in that stadium's on. And we just want to know that you're worth that for us. So start with that. The reason you're paid more than the guy that sat on the bench is because we think you're more likely to deliver the results that we need. So just fucking deliver the results that we need and play like one of us. Play like you mean it, like the fucking banner said.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel it's so frustrating. And I do feel a little bit of sympathy towards him at times as well, because after the City game, there was talk that he was injured. Yeah. And he got in a lot of criticism in that game, despite the fact he scored that wonder goal. That strike, and everyone was looking, he got bullied off Kyle Walker, and he got this, and then it comes out that he had an hip injury going in that game. So I do sympathise, but I do, sorry, just one thing. I do also get your point, because sometimes you're watching him and you think, this ain't good enough. So I'm not going to sit here and go, Marcus Rashford's doing enough and he's had a wonderful season, because he ain't. But we know how good he can be. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I just think that City game was a weird one to go after him for, when you think, well, all we did that game in terms of attack was score a goal, and he scored it from 25 yards out in the top corner. It wasn't like he missed 4 or 5 chances. We barely had the fucking ball.
No,
United barely had the ball. Let alone after that first 7 minutes, we didn't have a shot. And obviously some of that is on him because he's an attacker and he gets to the point where he's shooting. But getting him the ball in good positions, it wasn't like, oh, it's broken down with Rashford again. Oh, he's lost it there. Like the half chance he had, and then there was a little one afterwards where he maybe could have done slightly better. But 2 chances, one of them is not even a chance that he scored from. The other one is barely a half chance and he didn't score. That's a good return on a day. Like, you know, if you want him to win us the game by himself against a team way better than us when we've got none of the ball, that's just a ludicrous expectation, I think.
No, I agree. I think there's, whilst I get some of the criticism, I can see it myself, and I think that's right. I also think there is almost this sort of clamour and people waiting to pounce. It's like even last season when he was scoring all them goals, there was still an element of people having a dig at him. People even then going, he's scoring loads of goals, but he ain't doing out else. Yeah. Like, and you're like, that's the thing with him. He's got 41 goal involvements. What more do you want?
He is a sort of disproportionately disliked player, I think. Yeah. When you compare his performances and his output to how loved he is by everyone, he's like way down there. Like the number of goals and assists he's put in for United over the last 7 or 8 years. And yet he's one of the least liked players.
Who are the people that actually deliver for Manchester United?
Well, at all, it's Shaw when he plays, he does sometimes. Martinez does.
Bruno
does. Rashford does.
In terms of goals, it's Bruno and Rashford.
Oh, Bruno and Rashford, yeah.
And that is it.
That is it. And Højlund a little bit now. Højlund's getting there.
Give it 20 minutes and there'll be a fucking agenda against him soon, because people will start throwing up some mad numbers. In terms of the last few years, only Bruno and Rashford have delivered in terms of chance creation at Manchester United. Sancho didn't. Sancho gets half as much shit as Rashford gets.
Yeah, he does. By not playing for Manchester United, he seems to get less shit than Marcus does for playing.
Anthony gets a bit of grief. Everyone's got eyes.
Yes.
And unfortunately for Ten Hag, I think he has to deal with the issue of Anthony. I think if he doesn't, he will be the anchor that sinks him.
I think he's got to put his big boy pants on and just go, look, I got that one wrong.
Well, every manager that's managed to be successful has bought players that did not work out early. If you look at Bravo, Pep went all in on Bravo, get rid of Joe Hart, almost. Bring Bravo in. 12 months later, he's fucking flipped him and he's gone. Yeah. You look at there's fucking examples all over the fucking place.
Fergie did it. Fergie got a few wrong early doors. The injuries and others. Danny Wallace obviously had issues that we didn't know about. Didn't work out. Neil Webb didn't work out. Spent a lot of money on these players, and it's like he didn't give up. Then he went out and he carried on. He bought Erik Cantona. He bought
no manager's ever given up. Yeah. It's whether or not they're allowed to replace their mistakes. Someone threw me a stat up, and I don't know if it's true, and I've lost the tweet. Please let me know in the comments, because I wouldn't mind actually looking into this. And someone said, compare the starting 11 that Arteta played with on his first day versus the 11 that he's allowed to play with now. And then you compare Ten Hag's starting 11 to the one that he's playing with now. You could actually compare this 11 to the one that fucking Jose was playing with or Oli was playing with, because there ain't a lot of difference in it.
It's the same with, I think Klopp's similar one. Was it just like Henderson and Firmino, I think, were his only 2 players he had by the time he was winning things? He changed basically the entire team.
You've got to fucking refresh your team. Yeah. So you go, okay, so what's Ten Hag changed? Well, he changed the goalkeeper. Yeah. Well, Jose signed the right back. And then Oli signed the backup right back. Okay, who's playing at centre half? Well, that's Oli and Lindelof was Jose.
Yeah.
And Johnny Evans, who was here under Fergie. Right, all right, cool. Left back.
That's and then Martinez, obviously.
Yeah, Martinez is his, but he's not fucking playing at the moment. No. Luke Shaw, if and when fit.
Van Gaal.
Van Gaal signing. All right, who's playing in midfield? Casemiro. That is one of Ten Hag's, kind of. Alongside Menu, academy product. Or potentially Christian Eriksen, who is a Ten Hag freebie again.
Or McTominay.
Jose, academy product. On the right, we have Anthony, maybe, or Sancho, sort of, or Garnacho.
Yeah.
It was a debutant that he gave. Bruno, it was Ollie's. Højlund, obviously, who's his. And Rashford, who's an academy product that broke through under Louis. And you think, that's not his team.
No, it's a good point. And especially, like say, like missing minors as well. Like the key player for him, he's not
fucking
even got
Mason Mount. Remember him?
Yeah, bloody hell, he's back in training apparently. Just quickly before we wrap up, you mentioned Jadon Sancho. He's having a bit of joy. He scored in the Champions League, got player of the game,
Player of the year.
and he also scored for Dortmund in the Bundesliga the week before as well.
Yeah. Good.
Where do you think this leads? Does this lead to? Do you see him getting back to his best? Do you see him coming back to Old Trafford, or do you think this is just him putting himself in the shop window to either stay at Dortmund or someone comes in for him?
Yeah, I hope he gets 8 goals between now and the end of the season, and Dortmund give us 35 million for him.
Yeah.
I don't. If you think like, and obviously he gets less sort of amounts of stick, but part of that's because he's not here and he's not playing every week. Sancho compared to Rashford. But I think in terms of
it's just mental.
I never want to speak on behalf of United fans, but we have a lot of United fans who do speak to us, and their opinion of him, a lot of United fans, isn't good and would take a long time to recover, even if Ten Hag went. I think people think that Sancho's had multiple opportunities, and I certainly think he's had multiple opportunities. And again, it's an effort-related issue or a mentality-related issue, which is even harder to overcome because people think, well, even someone like me who's shit at football, I'd at least try hard, I'd at least try in training, I'd at least turn up on like all these things. I think it'd take a long time for him to overcome that. And based on the quality I've seen and the mountain of sort of PR and goodwill he'd have to sort of climb over to get back, I just think get as much money as we can from him and let him move on.
I think it's factually impossible
for
him to turn it around at United.
Really?
Although performance forgives a lot.
It does.
But do you think he's capable of those performances?
Scoring goals?
I don't.
Not consistently, no.
We'll have to wait and see.
What do you think?
I'm kind of with it. I think he's done. I think there's a lot of United fans
there's a lot to cash in on this year.
Don't want to see him back in a United shirt.
United might be able to save about $2 million a week in wages if they got rid of like everyone. That's like, I mean, Marshall's gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Christian Eriksen moved on.
Okay.
Not necessarily for or against that.
There's talk today, wasn't there, or yesterday, Varane being willing to take a pay cut to stick around.
That'd be good.
There was also talk that Varane's definitely 100% going.
All right, well, there you go. That's cleared that up then.
I mean, Greenwood and Sancho, I think are both going.
You would presume have gone. Casemiro
50-50.
Yeah, I think it's more 70-30 in all honesty.
That he
probably goes.
Okay.
Yeah, you may lose Marcus. You may lose Maguire.
Yeah.
There's stop me when I get to someone that you go, he's not fucking going. Like Anthony could go. I think that'd be fine. Difficult to move him on, but I think it'd be in Ten Hag's interest to draw a line under that if possible. Because the longer he sticks around stinking the place out, people just go. Yeah. So I think it'd be in his interest to go, made a mistake, move on. It'd look good doing that, I think.
Yeah. A little bit of out of sight, out of mind as well. You don't have that weekly reminder of, fucking hell, this failure is still here.
Yeah.
This transfer failure is still here. Ten Hag, transfer failure. If he's gone, you go, fucking hell, we lost 60 million.
But also, he's gone through some serious personal shit.
Yeah, he has.
How much of that affects performance?
Well, Erik Ten Hag mentioned that, didn't he? And he got hammered for it. Because it looked like, you're being sympathetic to someone who's accused of something pretty bad. Or very bad, I should say. But I think he was trying to make the point of, look, it is affecting him. It's like, it's on his mind, it is going to affect him. But
how could it possibly not?
Yeah, but then people sort of twist it, you find his corner or whatever. So I think you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Listen, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But it has been an absolute pleasure, as always, gentlemen.
Sorry,
Steve. Oh, yeah, go on, Steve.
We'll do it on the preview, but I want it from you. How do you actually think this is going to go? You said you think we're going to lose.
Like Clubber Lang in Rocky 3. My prediction, pain. Yeah. Right, okay.
What else is it gonna
Liverpool,
be? I mean, realistically,
United,
I'm going in there thinking we got a puncher's chance, but realistically,
it might be in Ghana.
Well, yeah. We'll all be there anyway, won't we? We'll all be sobbing together at the game this weekend. But we'll have a watch along, so make sure you check that out. That's been Stephen Howson. Go and check out Stephen Howson TV, Stretford Paddock FC.
Just dropped a new video on Howson IRL, Winter Survival.
Oh, yeah, go and check that out as well. You know where to find him. Go and check out the Sloppy Joe's podcast as well, and go and check out Joe Smith and all his other stuff. Make sure as well you are subscribing to the Green King Sport app. Big thank you to them for sponsoring this podcast. That's been Stephen Howson. That's been Joe Smith. I'm Jay Moy. This has been Off the Bar. Thanks for watching.